You ever wake up to 3 cops at your door just because you didn't want to join the neighborhood association? Yeah, that actually happened to me. Except they weren't even real cops. Just 3 guys in shirts that said security, strutting up to my front porch like they owned the place. Karen, the HOA president, of course, had sent them, figuring I'd roll over the second I saw a compliance order. But let me tell you, these guys had no idea who they were dealing with. The first guy touches my gate, zap, gets hit with a little jolt from my perfectly legal low-voltage defense system. The second one catches sight of my Glock on the coffee table through the window and suddenly looks like he needs a fresh pair of pants. Third guy, he glances at my security camera above the door, then backs off the porch real quiet. I had every frame of this little circus recorded, just in case things got ugly, you know? This was the start of what turned into, hands down, the craziest HOA lawsuit this state's ever seen. Now, for context, my name's Ray Dobson, I'm 52, and after 25 years engineering security for military bases, I thought I'd earned a little peace and quiet. Bought myself a lakefront cabin at Cedar Point, 3 acres, 200 feet of waterline, just me, the loons, and a fishing pole. The old owner said something about a voluntary HOA. But I was crystal clear, I wanted nothing to do with that circus. For 6 glorious months, that cabin was exactly what I'd pictured. Sunrise coffee on the deck, afternoons working on my boat, evenings flipping through old technical manuals for fun. Yeah, I know, I'm that kind of nerd. Then the letters started coming. At first, it was friendly, Evelyn Maris, HOA president, welcoming me and urging me to join. I politely declined. Second letter, a bit firmer, talking about community benefits and how non-participation might lead to friction. By the 5th letter, it was legalese and threats about mandatory compliance. Lucky for me, I'd done my homework. My property was bought before any HOA existed, and Texas law says you can't be forced into one you didn't. Sign 4. But Evelyn, she wasn't interested in technicalities. So, being the paranoid ex-defense engineer I am, I upgraded everything. AI cameras, motion sensors, that electric gate, the works. Even kept my Glock visible for good measure. When those 3 community police rolled up in their white SUV, they looked official enough. But I spotted it right away, real law enforcement moves with purpose. These guys looked like mall cops on a power trip. They tried the whole, sign these compliance forms, or else routine. I asked for badges, warrants, got a homemade laminated ID waved in my face. The leader, Marcus Webb, tried to open my gate, and, well, you heard what happened. Got shocked so hard he ended up in my landscaping. 1 shoe missing, hair on end like a cartoon character. I was watching on my security feed, sipping coffee, thinking, yeah, maybe I overdid it, but you know what? Felt pretty good. His buddy Sims sees the gun, turns pale, starts moonwalking back to the car. The smart one, Richie, spots the camera and finally drags the other 2 out of there. We're being recorded. This is blown. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you just have to let the evidence speak for itself. After they sped off, I pulled the video, but then I found something they'd dropped, a USB drive half buried in my shrubs. Now, call me cautious, but I scanned it for malware. Then opened it on a separate system. What I found made my stomach turn. Maps of every house in the area, dossiers with personal info, who lived where, their jobs, family schedules, even details on their kids and pets. My place. Marked in red, high resistance. Ex-military. Advanced protocols. This was a campaign, Operation Lakeshore, planned to steamroll every independent homeowner into their HOA, using whatever tactics were needed. Inside that drive was a timeline for compliance, phases for social pressure, legal intimidation, and, if all else failed, enhanced persuasion. Some houses had notes like elderly couple, easy. Others were marked for aggressive conversion. These people were running an industrial-grade intelligence op. It wasn't just about the HOA anymore. It was about total control. That's when I called Evelyn. You left something behind, I told her. She played dumb, then switched to ice cold after I mentioned Operation Lakeshore and Phase 2 enforcement. She wanted to meet. I said fine, but I picked the spot, alone. Next call was to Sheriff Morrison. He'd helped with my property paperwork. A straight shooter, the kind of Texas lawman you want on your side. When he saw the files, his face went hard. "This is organized crime," he said. Turns out, one of the guys, Richie, was on probation in Arizona for impersonating police. The other, two, one with assault charges, both deep in debt. But the twist? As we dug, we found these security guys weren't freelancers. They'd been hired specifically for their criminal backgrounds. And Neighborhood Solutions LLC, the company behind it all, had a rap sheet across 8 states, specializing in forcing mandatory HOAs onto places that never wanted them. I'm telling you, they weren't just enthusiastic volunteers. They were the muscle. Meanwhile, I started noticing more. Surveillance photos of me, grocery shopping, gassing up, even sleeping, showed up and hidden. Files. They'd been casing me and my neighbors for weeks. And there was an audio recording, Evelyn's voice. If Lakeshore succeeds, we replicate at 50 more sites. That's when the feds stepped in. Agent Mitchell from Dallas, sharp as a tack. She said this matched patterns they were tracking in 4 other states. But it got uglier. Henry and Martha Kowalski, an elderly couple 15 minutes away, got hit even harder. Fake fire inspections, chemical smoke, intimidation. Martha wound up in the hospital with a broken rib. And when Henry showed me a business card from Lakefront Property Assessment Services, I traced it back to the same web of fake companies. They'd even used radio devices to eavesdrop on calls. Everywhere we looked, the same pattern: surveillance, psychological games, threats, phone scams, official surveys asking about property values, insurance, family routines. It was a full-court press to squeeze anyone who wouldn't sign up or sell. And then, just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I found my front door ajar. Inside was a note: "We can get to you anytime. You have 48 hours to reconsider." Yeah, that happened. My military-grade security bypassed. It was war now. I doubled my security, set up decoys, and started feeding them fake info on purpose, making it look like I was cracking under the pressure. But their campaign went into overdrive. Threat calls at all hours, fake process servers, cars parked out front for hours at a time, new bugs planted after I found the old ones. I played along, made them think they were winning, while the FBI set up surveillance. The real kicker came when Evelyn, getting desperate, threatened my neighbor's grandkid, kidnapped him from school, left a note: "Come to Riverside Park, alone, or the kid gets hurt." No more bluffing. Now they'd gone full villain. The FBI scrambled to set up a sting. I played the part, showed up, looked scared, dragged out the conversation. Agents moved in. Evelyn and her muscle were arrested. Tommy was found, shaken but safe. But Evelyn still had cards to play. In holding, she dropped the bomb. My sister, Sarah, had been used as a pawn in their earlier pilot operation. They'd scammed her into passing along property info, using her as a mule. Also, they could test out their psychological games on me. Made my blood boil. But in the end, we turned that around too. Sarah and I teamed up, brought in her contacts, and helped the FBI trace out 23 other active operations nationwide. We ended up testifying together. Me, the ex-military paranoid, and Sarah, the accidental informant, about how these criminal HOAs were laundering dirty crypto through real estate, crushing homeowners, and using every dirty trick in the book. By the time the dust settled, 60-plus people were arrested, $200 million in assets frozen, and we even got some restitution for the families. Hurt along the way. My retirement became something else. I built early warning systems for the FBI, helped develop new security protocols for communities, and yeah, my lakefront cabin turned into ground zero for the fight against HOA scams. The irony? After fighting the HOA, our community came together more than ever, setting the standard for neighborhood watch programs all over Texas. 6 months later, with Evelyn behind bars and the big fish caught, I got a package. No return address, just a USB and a note. If you want to keep fighting, look into Phoenix Holdings in Nevada. These people make Soul Pacific look like amateurs. Be careful. I looked at Sarah, grinned, and said, "Up for another round?" She just laughed and asked if there'd be more electric fences. So yeah, if you've ever felt alone dealing with some clipboard-waving bully, believe me, you're not. And if this story lit a fire under you, let's hear it. Comment below, share your HOA nightmares. And tell me, what would you do if this was your street? Because the fight's not over. Not by a long shot.